I'm Kelly Roman, co-founder, CEO of Fisher Wallace Labs. My co-founder, Chip Fisher, is over there, pink shirt. We have, well, I'll wait for the slides to come on, but we're the leading wearable brain stimulation company for neuropsychiatric conditions, so anxiety, depression, insomnia. We started 15 years ago by acquiring technology from engineers. We commercialized a kind of a proof of concept device. We generated 45 million in revenue with that, and we're now moving into our version 2 technology. We are also raising money. I think the difference is that we have a term sheet with actual VC, which is a deep tech fund. So we're only looking, they've committed $1 million. We have a 500K that's also committed. So, and we have a $2.5 million first close. So I'm just here, raise interest in this final $1 million for the first close. An actual VC, if you look at them, they have a great track record. They're based in Dubai, also have an office in San Fran, and they've really leaders in deep tech. Do we have a deck? Oh, okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you. It is something you want to see. So what as I mentioned, we have a lot of experience doing this from our proof of concept stage. So we started with a pretty crude looking, we refer to it as the Radio Shack version of brain stimulation, which is basically a handheld pulse generator that has a couple of electrodes that go up on either side of the head, secured with a headband. You'll see when I get the deck up. Very effective.
Violetta.
What's that?
I need Violetta. Where's she?
Oh, Viola?
Yeah, who's
Oh, she's in my office, but she's available on
well, is there somebody else here with you?
Oh, Chip maybe could communicate with Viola.
I need the deck. I don't have it.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you have it on a thumb drive?
Yeah, yeah. Let me take a break and just give this to you. Hold on a sec.
I just need the deck.
Sorry. I'll just send it to Marty.
Perfect, great. I have 10 emails from you, but no deck. So maybe Violetta was supposed to send it.
No, we did. Okay, it's sent. So we started with this, crude looking, but very effective and safe brain stimulation device. Patients wear it 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes before going to bed. So it's, it's very comfortable. You can look at, watch TV, do your emails. It doesn't disrupt your daily life. So, and we started in the substance use arena. So we had Phoenix House as our first pilot study, and they found tremendous improvements in retention when they gave these devices to patients in rehab. We started there. We ended up doing some bipolar depression research at Mount Sinai that was published in 2015. A very small study, but it proved out the device was very rapid in treating depression with very low side effects, and it beat sham. And it was published in the Journal of Nervous and Mental Disease. And then over time, we kind of figured out the perfect dose and usage protocol for this device. That version 1 device went from very, very little stimulation to quite strong stimulation. We figured out that the lower end wasn't effective. We did a study at Harvard with the lowest end of the spectrum. The highest end was effective, but a lot of people found it uncomfortable. So we had to find what's the brain stimulation dose that is both highly effective, but comfortable enough where people are going to actually use this and be adherent. So when we figured all these things out, then we hired the designers and engineers of Beats headphones and Nest. So this is the version 2 device, and it really intentionally looks like something Apple would make. I mean, we literally worked with the same engineers for Beats, which Apple acquired, and Nest. And I think, by the way, even though there's not a wearable brain stimulation comp out there, Nest is actually an interesting comparable, even though it's not a medical device company. But it shows, big tech moving into an area, in that case, the connected home through an acquisition. And we think that the ground that we're breaking here in a highly regulated wearable space, you need a prescription for this, is going to be an area that big tech will want to get into. Obviously, they're already getting into healthcare. This would be kind of the next step to get into something that actually needs a prescription. But we are addressing that in a form factor, ease of use, all the things that you would expect an Apple or Google to bring to market. And our we're starting out as a treatment device. Our first FDA clearance will be for anxiety. We don't need to do any more research. We did the anxiety study, hit our primary endpoint. We're about 2 months away from submitting our FDA application. So we don't have the clearance yet, but we're done with everything we need to do for that. We will be applying for depression after that. We will need to do another study for depression approval, but we don't need to do any more research for anxiety. Ultimately, this is going to be a prevention tool, not a treatment tool. It's going to take multi-year studies to convince medical community and the FDA that this can actually work for prevention. So I look at that as like a 5-year goal. In that interim, we're going to scale off of treating these very common conditions. If we can go to next slide. I don't need to tell you that these are large markets. Everyone either has depression or knows someone that does. Anxiety, insomnia is the same, right? The massive market. I think, wearable brain stimulation is a niche thing right now, but given the prevalence and given the way that we've approached the form factor and usability, we look at this as a smartphone type opportunity to create a category literally that's that big. And again, that's the reason for starting with as a treatment device. And there's plenty of even if it takes us a while to get full insurance coverage, there's enough affluent customers in this group to afford out of pocket. But we do have traction already in the VA. We're expecting to have VA coverage, DoD right out the gate. It will take us some time, I think, to get broad commercial reimbursement. I'm not going to say that that's going to be instant, but we will have the VA and DoD. We can go next slide. So just to give you a snapshot of the company, we've kind of you think of the first 10 years as Chip and I learning the business, becoming regulatory experts, building relationship with the FDA. We had never done clinical trials before. We had never handled manufacturing before. We're now onto our 4th manufacturer in Malaysia and Singapore. So there's lots of aspects of this business that take some time to learn. I wouldn't want to invest in a medical device startup, someone who's never really done it for very long. The nice part about having a Singapore manufacturing is they're part of the TAA compliance. The U.S. government needs to have a very short list of where you can can't make it in China to sell into the VA. So, and then the last 5 years, actually, if you go back for a second, we didn't start raising outside capital to 2019. So we made enough money selling this crude device up on the left to finance the business until we actually had to do significant R&D. 2019, we started raising outside capital. We've raised about $13 million to date. $10 million came from the version 1 customers, which I think is a pretty unique story in med tech, is to have the patients actually funding the R&D. We raised $3 million from a family office. And so when I told Marty that we had signed a term sheet and he invited me to speak here, I appreciate that. We can go on to the next one. $13 million to date we've raised, excluding Chip's angel funding, but kind of outside capital has been 13. Includes a crowdfunding. $10 million of that is crowdfunding. Yeah.
And the crowdfunding is that they got the device.
They got equity. So equity crowdfunding is a little bit different than Kickstarter, where you're just getting a product at the end of it. We were one of the early med device companies to participate in equity crowdfunding. We started doing it in 2019. It doesn't really work for companies to crowdfund unless you have customers, because then you have to convince people that what you're doing has value. All of these customers knew it had value, and so they had already spent $700 buying the device at the top. So they were happy to put in $1,000, $1,500. We do have customers who have put in $25,000. We are raising the Series A. The ultimate valuation is $30 million. There's a couple of tranches in there. All right, so over the past year, Dr. Fava, who's the psychiatrist in chief of Mass General, and Dr. David Shulkin, who's the former U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, both joined as advisors about a year ago. And we've made a lot of progress with the VA since then. We have a pilot study being set up at the Birmingham VA, and we are expecting to integrate into Mass General's outpatient and inpatient. That's not official yet, but we're going to work on that post FDA clearance. Dr. Fava is also going to be the PI on our pivotal depression study. So a lot of strong validation there. There you can go, next slide.
Can I ask just a quick
Yeah.
question? What does this cost for me to buy?
So,
And also,
yeah.
what is it that's protectable about it?
Okay. So first question, what would it cost for you to buy? Obviously, if you're a patient in the VA, it costs you nothing. If you're going to pay out of pocket for it, $1,500. And we're planning to have that at $65 a month for 2 years. So a lot less than talk therapy, put it that way. There's a few protections. We have a utility patent and the design patent on the version 2. We were just granted the design patent. We should have the utility patent by the end of this year. We used our recently published depression study as proof of a discovery with the new dose that we perfected over all those years. So you have, patent protection. The real barrier is going to be the FDA requires clinical trial data, even if you're able to clone some other device. Like, you can't just say it's substantially equivalent. You have to do your own clinical data, apply, go through the FDA. So, we would have at least a 2 to 3 year advantage, even if someone, if we didn't have IP protection. Yep.
Roughly how many patients?
Yeah, in the studies. Yeah. Yeah.
Just summarize 71%.
Yeah, sure. So and this is small type, but these are our two primary studies that we're using for regulatory approval. The first one is for FDA. That was 220 enrolled. These were all professional first responders from around the country. Seattle Police Department was a co-sponsor of the study. But 60% men, 40% women, all kinds of age, all over the country. So pretty generalizable, even though they were all first responders. I think what makes it extraordinary is that as first responders in urban departments, they're undergoing daily stress. I mean, these are stressful jobs, right? And yet in our anxiety study, massive reduction in anxiety in week 2, got better and better. And by the end of the study, it was an 8-week study. 71.7% of the immediate treatment group, the second one had a sham control. The first one had a waitlist control. This first one, that's 71.7% improved by at least 50%. So if you look at how many improved by at least 18%, which is clinically significant, it's higher than that. It's in the 80s. The second study here, depression, we published last year, even higher responder rate in only 4 weeks with the 185 female participants. And again, almost 90% improved by at least 18% and 73.9 by 50% or more. These are severely depressed subjects at baseline. Most of them severe and moderate depression, no serious side effects. So, that first study, the anxiety study, that's enough to get through FDA clearance, class 2. The second study is not long enough to get through FDA, which is class 3 for depression. That's what we use to inform our pivotal depression study with Mass General that's coming up. The thing on the right that and also we now have 60,000 active users of our version 1 device. at this point. And they're still out there using the device. Oh, the one on the bottom, the depression study was a triple-blinded study, had a sham control. Yep, it was published in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, a very reputable journal. The first one is going to be published, but we literally just finished drafting it. We hit our primary endpoint. It was a waitlist control. I don't have enough time to get into all the details, but there were two groups in the first study. Some that started immediately, some that started 2 weeks later. We compared them. The reason why that has any value is because in a lot of mental health studies, patients will reduce symptoms simply by being in a study. And so when you look at a delayed treatment group, in our case, the patients didn't improve at all. And this is because they're first responders, they're going through a very difficult daily grind. So it basically showed that, and Seattle Police Department and other departments, they didn't want their officers using a sham device. They only wanted them using active, so we had to adapt to that. But it was as strong data as you could get using that structure. The second study was triple blinded. Thing on the right, just really quick, this just came 3 months ago. Researchers at Harvard Med School and Mass General, who run the neuromodulation and neuroimaging department at Harvard, Johan Komperdon, generated an electrical field model of our version 2 technology that shows it's highly engaging the amygdala, the anterior cingulate cortex, the hippocampus, parts of the thalamus. Basically, the light blue area you can see in that center brain is all being engaged with an electrical field that's higher than what you need to change its function. In other words, it shows that the brain stimulation is actually getting through the skull and engaging these regions. So we have some mechanistic context. And then we have the symptom results. So that's a very powerful argument for FDA and for medical community. Or you can go next slide. And please feel free to ask questions as people are. So yeah, again, very easy to use. I mean, that's, I think, an underappreciated aspect of medical device, if you're looking to do something at scale, is easy to use. Will people feel embarrassed to wear it? We're making this in multiple colors. We want this to be something that ultimately adolescents and Gen Z will want to be seen wearing in social media, not something they're feels weird or looks weird. That's all very important too. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, unit economics. I mean, huge gross margin, under $100 to manufacture, $1,500, which we didn't make that price up. That is something that has been studied in the VA procurement schedule, and we're right in line with other devices of this type. We can go to next slide. On the digital side, we have some work to do here. We've really focused on the hardware so far, but the next step is building a digital ecosystem around it. We don't need that to launch. I'm going to be talking with a couple of interesting partners about tying in biometric data and then being able to convert the hardware customers into talk therapy customers and other customers for partners that we can rev share in. So we can have a pretty healthy recurring revenue business as well. Go next slide. Yeah, so these are our, I don't know if you can read this, but these are our customer groups at launch. We have our 60,000 version 1 customers who are all going to want to upgrade. Most of them are going to want to upgrade. Veterans at the VA, war fighters at DOD, pro athletes. We actually have one of the big esports teams. It's confidential who it is, but over 50 esports athletes using our technology today. And they've been using it for a year. They have biometric data on, as well as how fast they're able to play, Counter-Strike and these other games. We have great data with pro athletes. And women and Gen Z are the other two big, marketing focuses for us. Next slide. Very boiled down sales channel. All of these can be large, VA and DOD on the institutional side. And then we're taking like a HIMSS and HERS approach or a row approach to a telemedicine-driven e-commerce where we have the prescription step just integrated into checkout, so you can buy this over an app, over the web. And then, employers will take a little bit longer. There needs to be commercial insurance there for a lot of them. Providers, they'll, obviously we're going to go to conferences. We have Dr. Fava and others. Dr. Fava has 7,000 psychiatrists that follow him on LinkedIn. So we're going to, over time, we're going to have awareness in these groups. But those first two are going to be the real drivers. All right, next. Really quick on this, we do have a clear vision of where we go after the first version of this device. We're going to transition from just being a treatment platform, not only into a prevention platform through the stimulation, but start integrating EEG and other sensors to make it a biometric platform so that we can actually create huge proprietary data sets. And that's the AI side of this. I know every deck has an AI side, but ours is once we're actually collecting brain data at scale, then there are lots of things you can do with that. You're able to monitor, for instance, how people respond to different drugs that they're taking, different environmental impacts. And there's really, I can't think of anything else that people would be wearing on their head every single day other than a device like this. So that's where the AI will come in. All right. Yep. Small team. We have, some supporting players at Fisher Wallace, a very strong team of advisors, including not just Dr. Fava and Shulkin, but one of the founders of Blue IO, which is another venture firm that's investing in the round. And Neil Leibowitz is former chief medical officer of Talkspace and Beacon Health Options. So he's going to be helping us with that, the digital side. And I think there's one more slide, Marty, about the raise. Yeah. So that $5 million has $2.5 million first close. We already have 1.5 million of that spoken for. So there's $1 million left on the first close. That's what we want to close rapidly, which is why I'm here. The other second close, we obviously want it, but it's not as urgent. We can't spend it all at once. So that first 2.5 million is what I'm focused on. And that's all the money we need to raise to get to profitability is $5 million. We don't need to raise any more than that. We could actually technically get to it with 2.5 million, which is why it's the first close. But we do plan to have a Series B after FDA clearance at a much higher valuation, and that will fund additional product development, the pivotal depression study, and so forth. And I think, who knows, right? But I think it will ultimately be a big tech that acquires us as they get more and more into healthcare. That's just my gut feeling. Thank you. Appreciate. Yeah.
How are you addressing the changes of the capital as evaluation with relation to the current investors versus the new investors? What difficulties in current, or how do you protect it against the possibility that it would be difficult to get additional capital because of the original investment?
Yeah. So, we've been very lucky to raise money through crowdfunding. And so our average crowdfunding investor has invested $1,500. So, they have some skin in the game. They don't have a ton of skin in the game. Outside of though, and they are, we interact with them a couple times a month at the least, like for years. So these are our super fans of our technology. They want to see us succeed. They're just very happy for us to keep going. Our only other significant investor besides, Chip and myself is the family office, Simon Webster, who's the CEO of Vistra. It's a large financial services company, mostly serves financial. No, he's, we're basically, the 30 million is a little bit higher than what he invested at. And, he's, again, just very welcoming to more capital comes in. I think we all look at it as, it's going to be a pretty binary, like we're either going to fail. I don't think we're going to fail, or this should be a very large business. So whatever dilution people are facing now, no one's terribly concerned about it. We think we're going to have an outcome that will make it worth it. So we don't have any friction at this point.
Who's the distributor? Do you distribute or are you going to use a
Oh,
distributor? Or?
Yeah, so in the VA, we're going to use a distributor. We're planning to work through a company called McLean Health. And as you may know, there's a small handful of veteran-owned businesses that do this at scale with the VA and DoD. So that'll be our partner there. In terms of direct to consumer, with version 1, we had a 3PL, third-party logistics firm in Florida that's FDA registered, and they can handle shipping and returns and all the logistics of that for us. So we can run basically like just a e-commerce store, but with telemedicine and other things integrated, and then they can be our logistics.
And how many are you selling right now? What's the revenue?
We have not, well, we have not sold anything for 2 years. We've been in R&D on version 2, but during that period of time, we sold 45 million in revenue with version 1. Of that, about 5 million in profit that we reinvested into the business. That's why we didn't need to raise money till 2019 when we started doing R&D.
Yes, hi, it's me. Just one second.
I just need to stop Fred.
Okay,
Great.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions before we go?
And I think my email, maybe if you want.
Oh, we're going to distribute
you
it.
just- all right.
Yeah, so everything goes.
Easy to reach.
We're gonna
Thank you.
distribute your deck,
Here in New
et cetera.
York.
So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Marty.